Good evening.
Welcome to the May 15th, 2023 school board meeting. It is now 6 o'clock. We will call our meeting to order. What we will do, we will stand for a moment of silence, followed by the flag, pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a sign-in sheet to the back there. It's to the very back. There's no one on it? Okay, thank you. As this meeting is officially called to order, we're going to have to start with our superintendent first with recognition of retirees before we get into the agenda and approve the agenda. Mrs. Joseph.
Okay. Madam Chair and board members and Mr. Attorney, I would like to officially recognize our retirees from this school year. They served many years with us and we'd like to thank them for their time and their service. But I wanted you to bring you before the board and let you see you and your last day in your official capacity and let you know that we appreciate what you've done. A couple of persons, and this is the smallest retiring group we've had in a while. And so, Ms. Kenwood, it might be nice to you, and that you don't have to find any of your persons to.
Yes, ma'am, but it's nice.
Okay. My first person I would like to recognize is Ms. Patricia Smitty, and we'd like to thank her for 25 years of dedicated services, and she worked in the transportation department. And right now, I can tell you that she's truly missed. Ms. Patricia Smitty, Ms. Pat Smitty, for 25 years of service. Also, Dr. Barbara Pedford, she will be retiring at the end of the school term. At the present, Dr. Pedford is the assistant principal of Madison County Central. In some of the different places and different capacities she has served with us, she started out as assistant principal at Madison County Central School. She served for a year at Greenback Elementary School as a principal, and the school made 8 that year, am I correct? And we'd like to applaud her for her efforts there. And then she came back and she served as assistant principal at Madison County Central School. She did 2 terms at Greenville Elementary School. She went back to Greenville Elementary School. Okay. She's also did a stint as our coordinator of assessment, our transition out of that position. And she stepped in and she took the reins. And during her time as coordinator of assessment, she also led the district through district accreditation that year. And then she's been assistant principal at the high school. And she's served for a short term as principal of Madison County Central School, and now she's assistant principal at Madison. She leaves us in the position of assistant principal at Madison County Central School. Dr. Pelford did all that in 10 years of service to Madison County School System. And thank you, Dr. Pelford. And our first person we want to recognize, Ms. Rhonda Alexander. And Rhonda Alexander has served in various capacities within our school system. I think Ms. Alexander I know her history. Ms. Alexander has served us out at Pine Elementary School. Am I correct? Ms. Alexander has served us at Madison County High School. Ms. Alexander has served us at Madison County Central School. And during her last year, Ms. Alexander is at Greenville Elementary School. But this is Ms. Alexander's second time at Greenville Elementary School. But she's leaving us with 25 years of dedicated service. And Ms. Alexander, will you come forward as I present this to you?
you slipping now.
Okay, our next person, our last person that's officially retired as of today this year, she is not floating around that long, but she has been a staple in our district for a long time, and she even come up through our system. Ms. Heather Welch, she's our famous media specialist. That's a rare commodity and a surprise commodity that we have this year. But Ms. Welch did serve us at Madison County Madison Primary School and Madison Central School as the media specialist. Ms. Welch thanked her for 36 years of dedicated service.
Huge.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, those are the retirees we have this time, and we will also officially recognize you during our end of the year luncheon on Tuesday, May 30th. That's going to be the entire staff for Madison County School District. And we hope to see you there from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock.
Okay,
It's at Madison County High School.
okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Joseph.
Okay.
Would either of you
Thank you, ladies.
Would either of you ladies like to have a word? Please.
I'll say something.
You too, Ms. Webb.
I just want to say that, you know, the 25 years that I served, it wasn't all easy and it wasn't all hard, but I enjoyed the kids and I work with special needs, so that was my concern, and I want to make sure that they get the best education that they could get.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, I've enjoyed every bit of 35 and a half, almost 36 years at primary school and Madison County Central taught second grade TV production is where I ended up started there as a media specialist the last 15 years. But it's been a blessing, all the students that I've seen and taught. And when I have started teaching the kids of the kids I've taught like in second grade or in the middle school, it's time for me to go home. So I'm enjoying my time. I stopped in December, actually January 31st.
Okay.
And I'm a Mia. That's what they call my grandchildren call me. So plenty of babysitting time. So I didn't really retire from there. I'm still working with kids and just get to pick my time.
We would like to thank you two ladies for
Yes,
all the
thank
service that you have given and for serving us. And we would also like to thank the other people who were not here. They rendered valuable services too. So on behalf of the school board, we thank you all, ladies
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
and gentlemen.
Great.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go right to our agenda. 2.1 is amendments to the agenda. Would anyone, board members, like to add or pull from the agenda?
Not at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. If not, can I have a motion 2.2 for adoption of the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
I second.
It has been properly moved and second, moved by Mrs. Knight and second by Mrs. Thompson, that we accept the agenda. All in favor, show your hands, please. Mrs. Bishop, 5-0, no opposes. Okay, we will go right to item number 3, public comments. 3.1, comments from the public. Mr. Killingsworth, thank you. Okay, we'll go right into the consent agenda. Items 4.1, minutes. Item 4.2, contract with right of passage. Mrs. Joseph. 4.3, Boys and Girls Club Summer Agreement, Mrs. Joseph. 4.4, fundraisers, Mrs. Joseph. 4.5, milk bid for 2023-24 school year. And Mrs. Iris Wind is for that. Okay.
You want me to review them?
No, it's for
Okay.
the consent, but if
Okay.
you would like to say something about
No.
it, you can. Okay, those are the items for consent. May I have a motion for approval, please?
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
I second.
It has been properly moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Ms. Knight, that we approve the consent agenda items. Questions? Discussion? All in favor, please, show your hands. 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. Thank you all. Okay, we'll go into item number 5. Items for individual consideration. 5.1, personnel change, Mr. Killingsworth. And while you're up there, Mr. Killingsworth, we'll do 5.2, summer school teachers.
Yes, ma'am. Matter of fact, the way that they may have it on your docket, they have the summer school embedded into the personnel changes. So we knock it out at one time. We have before you tonight, we have 3 resignations, that being Ms. Johnson, Ms. Andrews, and Ms. Sapp. We have 3 retirements, as you know, Ms. Smitty, Dr. Pettiford, and Ms. Alexander. And then we have 3 leave of absence, Mr. Craddock, Ms. Davis, and Ms. Bellamy at this time that I'm asking your approval for. I also have 1 substitute teacher, Mr. Alexander, and then that's under a sub-custodian. And then 2 of the student tutors to pull from Colin Williams and Zion Lamar. Those 2 are 2, some of our student tutors that I'm asking as well. And then what you have is a list of the summer school teachers that have applied for summer school. Now, this list is set up. Some will be summer A, some will be summer B, and there will be some that will do both. And we give them some of the options. We're asking your approval here. We do not have yet assignments to them, but that way it'll allow us to pick as needed, because at the end of the day, it's based on the number of kids and what we need to serve them. So I'm asking your approval for that as well, if I could.
Thank you, Mr. Giddens.
Yes, ma'am.
Board members, do you all have any concerns or issues with these? We are voting on 5.1 and 5.2. Is that okay?
Madam Chair, I move to accept the personnel changes as presented for 5.1, 5.2 for personnel changes in summer school additions.
Thank you. No discussion?
Second.
It's been properly moved. It's been properly moved and second that we accept the school personnel
Who's your
changes.
second? I'll second. Okay.
Okay. Motion by Mrs. Knight, second by Mrs. Thompson, that we approve 5.1 and 5.2. Those are personnel changes in summer school teachers. No discussions, concerns. All in favor? Mrs. Bishop, 5-0. No opposes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth.
And Madam Chair, we will bring before you the next meeting, the parapros, bus drivers, lunchroom, those employees as well for summer school. Okay?
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you. 5.3, IT summer contractor, Mr. Isaac, thank you.
Yes, this is a contract with Timothy Warfel. He's going to be interning with us in the IT department this summer. So while he's out of college, he's a computer engineering student. We're going to have some additional help this summer with device maintenance and different things like that.
And it's paid for.
This is coming out of ESSER,
Okay.
ARP money.
Members, you've heard. Any discussions, questions, concerns? There are none.
Then we done the same thing last year with something like that.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the summer contract for IT, please.
Second, do I have a second?
A second.
It has been properly moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Carroll, that we approve the IT summer contract. All in favor, show your hands, please. 5-0, Mrs. Bishop, no opposes. 5.4, field trips, Mrs. Joseph.
Madam Chair, I have two field trips I'm bringing before you. One is for on June 1st. This is on May 19th, the gifted trip to Cape Canaveral. It's a day trip. They will be using one van, and the reason we have 9 students and 9 chaperones, several of the parents are going and taking their kids. Okay, the next trip is for the Vaquero Guard. A portion of them, they will be going to Troy, Alabama on a week's trip, and this will be paid for by their students. And those are the 2 trips I have before you.
Okay, members, you've heard all the trips. We will vote on them all in one.
I move to approve the field trips.
Second, please. Okay, it has been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Thompson, that we approve all school trips that's listed tonight. No discussion, concerns, issues. All in favor, please show your hands. 5-0, Mrs. Bishop, no opposes. Vote.
It's 4-0. You're saying 5-0.
Oh, we have some opposes.
No, Carol's not here, there's only 4 of us.
Excuse me, I want to correct. All those agenda items, they are 4-0, not 5-0. Thank you, attorney.
Have it.
Thank you all. Okay, Mrs. Hill, 5.5, Explore Learning Site License Renewal.
Yes, ma'am. This is a program that we use to help students practice their math skills in grades K to 5. We've used it for probably the past 7 or 8 years, and it helps them with their math facts. And so we want to renew this license so that we have that access to that for next year and the year after.
Thank you. Ladies, gentlemen, board members, any questions, concerns?
No, ma'am.
So this is a 2-year thing?
It is.
Motion and
I
second.
move to approve the Explorer Learning Site license renewal.
I second.
It has been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Knight, that we approve the Explore Learning Site license renewal. Discussion? There be none, please show your hand in favor of. Mrs. Bishop, 4-0, thank you. Item 5.6, financial report, Mrs. Rose.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a wet one, but good evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Should be watering that tree out there.
That money tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to water the money tree, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about several items tonight, but I wanted to talk about the financial report first, and then you can act on that. And then I've got a couple of other things for you, financially speaking. The financial report, as you can see, if we start with the first pages, you're going to see the general fund. We have taken in $17.3 million in revenues this month, and we have paid out $7.42 in revenues, in expenses this month. So you can see that our revenues are, again, lagging behind our expenses. We're still in not too bad a shape coming into the actual fund balance, which is showing up right at about 18.5, which is pretty much where it was last time. But we are going to talk about at length in a little bit about a couple of these other things, because we still have a lot of things pending. We still have the $1.4 million pending, and I have semi-good news for that we do have the wage determinations from the company, and the wage determinations are under review by the auditor. So we're hoping that with that information, we still will have the finding, but we're hoping that the question costs will be released. So keep your fingers crossed on that. It will not only release the question costs this year, but the same company did work in 22, 23 that would have been question costs next year. So hopefully these wage determinations will take care of both of those. We still have pending legislation. We have some legislation that's finalized. The minimum wage is something that is going to be talked about next year as far as raising the minimum wage. It didn't get acted on this year, but we need to be prepared for some action on that next year. We do have, again, general costs in health insurance and other insurance, workers' comp, that are still going up. The legislation did raise the workers' comp insurance from 11.91 to another 4%, so that's 15.91. It figures out to be around $250,000 more in benefits we'll have to pay because of that. So we do have, I'm going to talk about a little bit, when I get done with the report, I'm going to talk about a little bit of what it looks like against what we have and what is proposed in the conference report. I think that hit all the high points on the Fund 1000. Fund 2000, which is your debt services. We have taken in $247,000 approximately in revenues. Our expenses to date are only about $27,500. That's giving us the money that we need to pay for the debt insurance or the qualified bond that we have, that payment and insurance or interest premium for this coming year. So we're in good shape. Hopefully that'll put a little bit more money in there and we'll be able to try and sneak in another payment or a partial payment and get that debt down a little bit. We have in Fund 3000, we've taken in $1.7 million. And this is your building fund, your capital outlay fund, and we have spent out about $1 million. The rest of the expenditures in capital outlay have been coming from ESSER, which has been a lifesaver for us, and we're hoping that we'll be able to tweak out a few more things that need happening out of that money before it goes away. Fund 4100, this is food service. We've spent $1 million, about close to $1.5 million we got in revenues this year, or this month, and we have spent out $1 million, almost $1.3 million in expenditures. Still leaving us a little bit. We've gotten 3 unexpected payments or unexpected checks on that over the course of this year, so that's helped to bring this fund up. It's still not out of danger, but it's doing a lot better than we expected at the beginning of the year in the budget. And I want to commend Ms. Wynn. She's doing everything she can to get every dollar she can to make sure that fund comes up. Fund 4200, that's your federal title programs. This is basically a wash. We spent $1.6 million, and we took in $1.6 million, and we've spent $1.8 million, about $1.9 million. So we're waiting for the rest of it to come back to us. 4420, that's the small part of the first ESSER grant, is just in there for information for you because nothing's happening on that. That's closed. 4430, it's the big part of ESSER 2 grant. We took in additional revenues of $145,000. We spent out $158, waiting for that information to the reimbursements to come in. 4440, we took in about $275 we took in $82,000 in revenue, and we spent out about $90,000, so we're waiting for those revenues to balance each other out. That is a small part of ESSER 2. ESSER 3, which is also known as the ARP program, we took in $1.7 million close to, and we spent out $2.2 million, so we're waiting on that. That's a big payment that has a huge sum that we've been kind of teetering on asking for it back until we knew what we were going to get from the auditors about that finding. So we've been kind of holding some payments or some requests back, so we wouldn't have to pay money back into there. And the last project is 4460. We took in 124,000, we spent 127. Again, that's money that's going back and forth in transition to be reimbursed. Questions about the financial report?
Lily? You want us to approve the financial report now? Please.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the financial report as presented.
I second.
It has been motioned by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Carroll, that we approve the financial report as presented. No other discussion?
When does the, federal money run out, whatever?
September next
The
year.
ESSER 2, except for the smaller projects, is pretty much all spent. ESSER 1 is spent. ESSER 3, which is your ARP, that goes until September 24, or September 30th, 2024. Even though the ESSER 2 goes to 2023, September 30th, we still pretty much have spent that pot of money out.
And,
That answers your question?
and the other one goes out in 24?
The big one goes out in 24, September 30th of 2024.
I have
Thank
a
you.
quick question too.
Sure.
Have the school buses come in yet? Has that money?
Yes.
Okay.
We got, did we get the second one?
Yes, we
Okay.
have both of them.
Last week, we were waiting for the second one to be
Okay,
delivered.
perfect.
So yes, we
Good to
have
know.
them, both of those in. And we still have an ESE bus that has been ordered
On
that is
order.
still pending.
Right. Okay, that's good news. Thank you.
Okay,
And-
you all are satisfied with that discussion, Frankie? I mean, well, anyway, Mr. Carroll, Mrs. Knight. Okay, all in favor of approval? 4-0, no opposes.
Okay, these are informational items.
Thank you.
The yellow header one is, the green one
We don't
is
get out
to
of
discuss
jumping
last. Pardon me? We're gonna
Okay,
get out.
yeah.
The yellow one is a summary of the legislative.
What is this? Pass that down.
The green header one is a discussion about
No, Frankie.
potential
Do you all have the green one?
workshops coming up. Pass that out. Okay, let's talk about the one with the yellow header on it first.
Yes, ma'am.
This is what is a result of the final numbers on the 2022-23 fourth calculation, which is not the final calculation, but it's almost final. These are the numbers we have received for every line in the FEFP compared to what the new conference report is from the Senate that embraces all of the new legislation about FEFP. I'm trying to summarize this. We still are coming out a little bit ahead of where we were last year at this, where we are right now, as far as the final amount is. But it's moving things around that we still have to do in compliance we have to do that may not be accounted for in these numbers. For example, teacher salary increase is somehow added to the new increase of the $552 per FTE. But this year we have to give more on teacher teacher supply money. We have to give at least each teacher $300. So there's things like that. Our compliance, they put the mental health back in, they put the safety back in, the safe schools back in, but they still left out teacher salary increase, which when you look at it compared to last year is only about $4,000 or $5,000 more for the growth piece of the salary increase than it was for last year. So there's money that's going up and going down in this analysis. The final figure looks like it's going to be a little bit higher but the final figure for the pass-through is going to be about 28% this year, where last year it was this current year it's 26%. So you're going to see pass-through for, like for example, the family empowerment scholarships. This year, we only have 70.5 FTE there. Next year, they're anticipating 82.86. So that money will pass through. It will not stay with the district money. It looks like it's coming in, but it's going right back out. The add-on FTE is about the same. The weighted FTE is about the same. They're projecting about the same FTE overall that we have right now in fourth calculation. Base funding is a little bit, but it's also added in a small district factor that was not included in FEFP last year. Pretty much the cost differential, which is now, remember the cost differential is the piece of the FEFP that makes you equal based on the price index with other districts in the state. That's been given a new name. The thing that helped us this year on that is before they would take the amount of money we were going to get and they would multiply it by that factor. This year they're not going to use that factor unless it's over 100%. So we're good on that. We didn't lose that piece of it. But if you also continue down here, you're going to see they have replaced the SAI, but we still have the turnaround school obligation. They've replaced that by quite a bit, but that came out of a lot of things that they took away. So they took it back, they took it out, and then they gave it back in other ways here. ESE guarantee is down about $12,000. Mental health is up about $16,000. Safe schools is up about $30,000. Let's see, class size reduction is up about about 80,000. Sparsity was taken out, removed completely. Supplemental SAI was taken out. Teacher supply increase was taken out, but that's where we have to give each teacher still the supplement for supplies. And that piece is written into the Appropriations Act. Instructional materials is out. Reading allocation is out. Fund compression allocation is out. The turnaround schools is out here, but it's required in the educational enhancement. State compression is pretty close. Now you're going to see where the equalized RLE, I'm stumbling over words tonight. I think it's the rain. Required local effort. Required local effort, you will see that we are going to be asked to raise taxes. So the impact of the tax raise with the tax roll is going up from little over $1 billion in Madison County to $1.14 billion. And so our required local effort is going to go from 3.1 million to almost 6 million. So the money that we're getting in, that we would get in, which is determined after the trim, the money that would come in would be used for, that 400,000 higher would be used to help offset some of the things that were taken out of this. So that's accounting for the increase in the taxes in this to come up with the final line. District local effort, that's the discretionary millage, that's up about $82,000. Again, that's another increase that's going to be proposed for the taxes. According to the required local effort, we have to raise to at least that millage, or we have to have some reason why we didn't, but we have to come up to that, 3.259. The net, what happens after all of this is in, has gone up about the 500,000, which is pretty much equal to the 500,000 in taxes. State discretionary supplement, this was added in at 137,000, but when they get to the back end on the last page, they take 137 back out of the FEFP pass-through. So your FES pass-through. So the FES pass-through this year is going up from 628,000 to 720,000. If you jump to the last page, you're going to see that the total local funding is going to go up from 3.9 million to 4.4 million. Total state funding is going to be pretty much 16 million versus 16.7 is in the conference report. And the total adjusted funding we're going to get, the difference, the last line there is 19.3 million versus 20.3 million. So you've got a lot of money moving back and forth in this thing this year. You got money coming out, you got money coming in, you got more things expected for local effort through taxes. So it's going to put us in a pretty similar fiscal situation coming into next year for your budgeting. Now, the bottom part of the last page is just talking about the program weights. You'll see the program weights were a little bit reduced for the K-3 program, a little bit more reduced for the high school program, pretty flat for the ESOL program, 254 up a little bit, and the 255s up a little bit, and career education up a little bit. So those are the weights that happen for every FTE that's in there for those. So after this, in anticipating a budget meeting, the superintendent asked me to pull all of the types of purchase orders and invoices that we have paid so far to date. This was as of April 30th. And if you will look at these, it's showing you things that are recurring costs, and it's also showing you some things that maybe were a one-time cost and not going to happen next year, but it's going to give you an idea. And I put it in alphabetical order for you, so it'll be easier to find if you're looking for a particular vendor. Some of these things are paid out through employee benefits, like life insurance, things like that on this list. So they would be recurring, but they would pass through. We take them out of the, it's part of the employee cost, and then we take them and pay them for like retirement system, for the Florida retirement system. You're going to see some costs in here that were paid because of ESSER, like the AC costs. They're going to be in here as well. You're going to be some things that I'm suggesting that you need at least a certain amount in a purchase order so that you can prepare for that for next year. Basically, this is a summary for you to ingest and digest at your own leisure before we have the budget meeting, so to give you an idea of where to start and where we need to think about where things have to be budgeted.
Ms. Rena?
Questions?
Yes, ma'am. This is since the beginning of the school year?
Since the beginning of the school year to April 30th.
Okay.
And these are what have been paid. Now, if there's anything that's pending this month that hasn't been paid, it won't be on there. And it does not include wages, the actual wages. It just includes the other costs. For example, you'll see things like the phone bill, the elevator inspections, pest control, Board of County Commission, which is usually the SRO costs, waste fees, some association fees, legal fees, supplements that the employees have taken out. But I'm happy to address any of these things. These are as they exist right now, so they've been paid. This is what's come out of the school district's budget this year. So just
Thank
as...
you, ma'am.
So that's the green sheet?
That's the green sheet.
You know, we used to get that all the time.
The column second from the left are all round numbers. How is that is that the actual?
That's an
fee?
estimate. That's an
Okay.
estimate. The
Those are
PO
estimates.
needs, those are estimates of what you're going to need based on what's been spent and what has been spent the last fiscal year.
I see, okay.
That's just an estimate. That's why I rounded them off.
I got you.
Thank you.
And if you look near, I think there's about 9 pages here, so it's like maybe the last page. I guess it's the last page of the document. You're going to see where I tried to clump them together for you, so you'd have an idea of the kinds of things that utilities are costing us. They're costing us about, right now to date, about $750,000 in utilities. That includes power, electric, propane, waste, solid waste removal, water, that kind of thing. You'll see where the fuel is. We have a bid out right now for the fuel for next year. We're waiting for those to be opened and reviewed. You see the pass-through for the charter school this year and what we expect for next year in the PO. So I'm giving you an idea on that last page of where we are, the totals on all of the first 8 pages, and giving you an idea of where you need to be thinking about where we need to plan for next year.
Thank you, ma'am. Board members, any questions? I mean, this is for our own ingestion anyway when we get
Yeah,
home.
it's not an action
So we
item.
can just study this when we get home.
I
If you
do
want an
appreciate this
in-depth.
information, Ms. Reyna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, item 5.7, redistricting. Mrs. Joseph and Mr. Reeves.
Okay, I put this on the agenda because we will be meeting with the county commissioners again, but I wanted us to have time to digest it and come to a common understanding before we went back up there. And so, that's,
And on your board docs, I had a couple of requests for some more specifics on the maps, and so the maps that show the street names and everything are there on board docs where you can, a little easier to see where those lines are being changed.
It don't show District 4.
I don't understand anything on that map and I can't hardly read it.
It don't show, it don't, on the computer, and I went up there and got a copy up there, and the copy at the thing cuts off District 4, it don't even show it, or 3.
it
I
shows
even went
District
to
4,
this-
you need another copy because I got a good copy of it. I will be moved to that district. You want a better copy?
All of
I
us
need
would
to
like one
see
because
one
we're
that's
not understanding.
got them street names on it.
I went to the supervisor of elections office this morning to get the latest, and I still didn't understand, and you can't read it.
Do you
And I
want a copy of the 3.1 that he sent that with the street names blown up? That's what you want to see that close up?
Sure do.
I need one of three,
I would
of
like a
District
copy
3.
as well.
Cause I tried to pull
But,
it up on the
And it
computer.
might just be this iPad, but you can't read it on here.
What
This
happened?
is what he gave me.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
What I think is going on is the, Mr. Spitzer's, software is to do the big ones. And so I think when we try to print it out on the regular pieces of paper, that's why it's so small we can't read it. What we need to do is go ahead and print these out on big pieces of paper, big paper and get that to you.
Because I don't know where my district starts and nor end,
Yeah, it
because
comes
it's
out.
all cut off. It doesn't have any Greenville on it at all. It has Madison on it.
I think the reason he was centering in there was because that's where the changes are. I don't think there are changes on
There are
that.
some
They are
changes in
some changes
Greenville.
in Greenville.
Yes.
Oh, there were?
3
Exactly.
to 4 according to that black.
And because, see, mine used to go to Lamont, and this last time it did not, and now it's my understanding it's going back to Lamont.
Yep. Okay. Well, we'll get you some big maps.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want them now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You got them. Thank you. And if that's not sufficient, you get us some big maps. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, Ms. Reyna.
But I wanted us to have time to
Discuss
discuss that in-house before we got back up to the county commissioners. Now, one of the things that we need to think about as we do our discussion is that is that a dissent decree or is that a court order that was issued back that the group told us about?
It was a court order, and all of us got a letter to that effect.
Okay.
So,
Can you explain that to us?
yes,
I
ma'am.
understand, y'all don't understand.
Let me just give briefly, if I can. In the 80s, in past years, the county elected school board members and county commissioners on a district-wide basis. So you had residence areas where each of the, for instance, the county commissioner and the school board member from District 1 had to live in District 1, but they were elected countywide. In the 80s, in 84, 85, in there somewhere, the NAACP and the ACLU filed lawsuits saying that violated the Voting Rights Act. The result of those lawsuits was that the federal courts entered a final judgment that said we had to go to what are called single-member districts. So the school board member and the county commissioner from District 1 still have to reside in District 1, but the only people that vote for that county commissioner are in District 1, as opposed to everybody voting countywide. And then that final judgment said that we were allowed to redistrict as provided by law. The law says after you have a census, you go back and look at it, and the school board and the county commission looks at their districts, decides if they need to redistrict. That's why we hired Mr. Spencer. He came in and did a study to see what the present population and distributions were among the 5 districts, saw that they were out of whack. That's why we need to redistrict, and that's what you all are in the process of doing with the by changing those districts, and you know, and that's why you need to figure out which plan you like, or if you want a different plan altogether, or what y'all want to do.
But the folks that spoke at the meeting, they was the one, they was recommending what, the 3.1?
3.1 is the one that we were.
I thought that we had all agreed on it.
Yeah.
Everybody changed their mind. I've not changed
Hard to
mine.
read, but it's all on one page.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
See, you got that, but see, District 4, it ain't got District 4.
No, it's cut off still.
It's still cut off, ain't District
It
4
is.
or 3.
And
Three's
District
got a
3 is
little
cut
bit.
off too. Uh-huh.
There were more lines that came further down the
Way
map.
down there.
See what District 3 cut off?
Yeah, I see.
And District 4 too.
That's what I was saying a while ago. That's the same thing that you get from the office up there.
So what are you trying to find?
I'm just trying
over
to
in
find,
Greenville?
because according to the black lines,
Yeah.
District 3 and District 4 in Greenville is gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
It's going, instead of, it always stopped at Interstate 10.
That's right.
But now it's gonna come down, District 3 is gonna come down some, and then cut over,
Is
Yeah.
it
and then
Steen?
go all the way to Lawrence.
So what we need.
Is it Old Steen Road or something like that?
I think it's Osteen Road.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so what we need is, we need the boundary line that he's using for that. If
Yeah.
it's a road or whatever it is,
Just,
We need,
so
uh-huh.
that you can see that.
right.
Yes, we
Yeah, okay.
will. And,
And then I think it shows where it goes up.
It
District
cuts
4
out part of District 5.
will go into District 5,
Yes.
up there on County Camp Road. That-
Well, it's south. I mean,
Is it south?
well, I think there was some.
so
Down.
let me ask you this, I'm looking at these black
Yep.
lines right here.
Yep.
So-
Now, is it going that way or what?
So,
It's very confusing.
Show me.
so
District
the green is District, is what is proposed to be District 3
Well, see,
in
all
this
that's
plan is green.
Still in mine.
Okay,
I mean, I got the project and all those people,
right.
but it's already in there. I
Who is
mean, I'm
District
already
4?
searching
You
those
District
lines.
4?
So I don't see any
I
difference.
think
It's
these
going
down.
thick
Already
black
said
lines
that.
are what it's proposing to cut
I think you can cut out,
around.
I think yours went up here a little bit, didn't it?
Well, see, I was
So
wondering
this
if I
is me
can go by that
currently.
line right
This would
there.
be me.
No,
Correct.
it's
No.
the green, is what they're
It's
talking about.
only green.
Just the green.
Yes.
Well, see, those things are already in my district. Those.
The thick black line.
The
is
thick
what
black
they're
lines is what it is.
Your district-
The thick black
your district in
line.
Madison's gonna stay for some degree.
Okay, well, see, that's what I'm saying, the thick black line here.
No, that's a road.
All right, so for instance,
Oh, okay.
Lake Francis is
So what?
currently my district,
That's right.
See,
and
if
it's
you're down in your
orange.
district,
But it's still orange in here, but those thick black lines that are south of Lake Francis is where it would cut it off, is what she's saying. There's thick black lines that are outlined to remove Lake Francis from.
So
That's
Lake,
on that other map, that ain't on this one.
But you can
So
still
I'm
see
just
it.
looking at green.
You can still
I'm
see
not
it.
looking at any of these other lines.
because it would move it to
What I-
my district.
What I think is maybe a little confusing is in the big maps that they had, the old lines were the thick black lines. The color shading was the new proposed district. The thick black lines that were the old district are not on this map.
We'll see.
And so this one's really not showing where you can see the change. It's showing like the green is District 3 and the yellow, orange, whatever that is District 5, all of that. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I don't see, because I am on Hall Street. They got Hall Street right here.
I don't know.
See, I live on Hall Street.
Yeah.
And they got Hall, Hudson, and Honor. I service those people anyway. They were in the old plan. All these people who are here, they're in my old plan. I don't see anything new.
Well, there may not be.
There's not gonna be much new in
There may not be anything new. Wait a minute, let me look at the old.
I
Yeah,
gotta
supposed
have
to do it to
something
my
new
district.
because mine was the least.
Yeah, but you're gonna gain,
over in
I
Greenville.
think you're gonna gain down at the, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting y'all's districts mixed up. Wait a minute, let me back up, Didn't we have the, don't we have the
Frank,
old
have a
maps?
seat. We gonna get you.
Because I
Oh,
had
you're
the
on?
least, 3 had the least, 5 had the most.
That's
So
right.
I know there has to be changes for me. And I don't see any of them.
He's gonna put it up on the big
What I'm seeing is
screen.
things that I already have.
Because you don't see Greenville on there. When you see Greenville, you'll see the change.
Okay,
He's putting it up on the TV behind us.
Yeah.
He's gonna put that up.
Thank you.
Didn't we have the complete maps at one of the past meetings?
He's giving print one.
But not this one now, I mean the complete one. Okay, I got you.
See them black lines right there? That's gonna be District 3 down there in Greenville.
Okay, Tommy,
Ma'am.
that's it.
Yeah, okay. So,
That's it.
don't flip back and forth now, go back to the last one.
That's the
Yeah.
same as,
So
the same as this.
See, that's where District 3 changes.
The color, okay, on this one, the color is the old line, and the black lines are the
New
proposed.
Proposed, so I'm going into blue.
So District 3 is you're going into blue.
Okay, well, that's what I was
4
thinking
is
about.
coming into 5.
Okay,
And so right
And
here
so is
now,
1.
that's what I was thinking about.
and now what you're
Thank you.
doing,
This does reflect that, it's just a little more confusing.
They're going into.
and also you may need to stand up and
So
look
it's
here.
by those black lines.
The black is the black, heavy black lines are the new.
Okay,
And so like right here, this was District 4, this pink, District 1, which is this pink. You're getting some of that too, and a little bit of that, it looks to me like a little bit of that purple.
Tommy, there's a zoomed in one you want me to
so
go to?
I'm going, yeah.
Well, just 1 second. So yes, ma'am, so this is the, so that's going to the interstate, right?
Yeah, but there's the interstate, it's going past the interstate
No,
now.
that's the exit from Greenville,
Yeah.
at the Greenville exit. So you're going down that road, and then what you're gaining is to the west
All
of
that,
that road, on over here.
okay.
Gaining all my kinfolk.
And then you're gaining this, which is that to the,
District 1,
yeah, out of District 1. And then that what Frankie's gaining is, he's gaining all this over here.
Part of mine.
Out of District 5, and
I'm
then
going over there with my
District 1 is gaining that part of District 5, which is what we had to do it, because your district had the most people.
Yes, yeah.
And of course, Carol's isn't
Oh,
changing
thank
at all.
This is all I need. I didn't. Yeah. That's done.
I'll just wait till the supervisor fiction. Get it all street named and all that. I can't read no map.
Yeah, and then you see this is 19 right here, so it connects up to 19.
Yeah. See, that's what your mama do with it.
So what you're saying is you need to put that back and she can take a little bit of Carol's up there. Just shift it a little bit.
But, see the lines, I'm sorry. And so, yeah, so the black lines are the new, and so what he left off was he left the black lines off of that, trying to get the street names.
They're here, it's just not as defined.
Clear.
Yeah,
Clear.
So y'all understanding it?
I understand it.
You gonna make me understand?
I understand it.
And is there a zoomed in one better?
That's the C.
That's the, yeah.
Okay. So you see?
Yep.
Yeah, there's your black line, so you're gaining this pink up here, what is that, the junior college and all of that. And you're losing this right here, that's in green.
Okay, I'll restudy.
That's not a sure again.
You're losing Lee Avenue, Ohio Avenue, Franklin.
Okay,
It's this little spot
Where the
right
black lines
here
are.
okay,
is what you would lose.
okay.
And actually, that's,
And who are those up there in that pink that I'm naming?
well, that's Country Club Estates,
I had some of those people already.
yeah. And then, let's see, that's on the other side, so actually, you're probably getting, okay, that's Whispering Pines, because that's all that, so this is, that neighborhood across from the Mormon Church, south of 90, you know what I'm talking about?
When the nursing home,
Where the nursing home is,
Like, I think
all
behind.
that.
Nursing home.
like,
Okay,
you already had the other one.
okay, so I'm getting less
So hang
time.
on, is this all behind Clover Farm?
Okay, thank you
So
all.
you're gonna get all that too.
There's two of them. That's two of them. This is what he's showing you.
Do you have to?
Oh,
Same one?
thank you.
Yeah, that shows the lines, I just need to know the street names.
Mm-hmm.
Where it cuts off, it's down
And
there.
it doesn't show you on this one, cause it cuts that
Yeah, it
far
cuts it off,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
All
then.
right, so what I'm gonna get from it is the street names on the lines between 3 and 4.
Right.
That new line between 3 and 4, I'm gonna get y'all those street lines so you can see where that is, right? The street names, I'm sorry.
So see, District 4 loses a big chunk down there,
It does,
you know what I'm saying?
it does.
And it came to me.
Yeah,
It doesn't show
Alfred-
District 5
Alfred
street,
didn't-
the streets at the,
I told Alfred,
the,
Alfred, he didn't think it
well,
would change none. I
no.
showed him.
doesn't show the street names here for me either.
But what we need to also keep sight of, if we look at the top of the page, where how the percentage of your population changing, and I think that's gonna be the deciding factor.
Well,
Oh,
we've
yeah,
already
yeah.
said 3.1, so we're satisfied with
The
it.
line doesn't define, that's why.
Because the court
not
has,
saying it's right here.
Look, this is.
This is the black
if you
line
go,
right
if you, don't have the two districts that they said we were supposed to
Yeah.
have, the court has
Right
to,
here.
The majority minority.
So I'm saying
majority
these lines aren't
minority.
as defined on
And
here.
keeping
So this
the
is the
majority.
top part.
We're
right
not adding
So
anything,
you're
that's just, we're
missing this
keeping
part
what it's
down
been for
here.
the last 40 years.
Yeah. Okay, members, Mrs. Joseph and Mr. Reeves, we thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I have a motion for adjournment, please?
No, I got something to say.
Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to let the superintendent speak, Mr. Reeves speak, Mr. Frankie speak, Ms. Debbie speak, and Ms. Katie speak. I'm going to speak first. I would like to thank everybody, all our retirees. There are different places that we visit, some individually, some collective, and the rest of the school board members will tell you about all these things. Thank you. Madam Superintendent?
Okay, ma'am, I can be briefer than that. I need to make one correction on that calendar of events that I gave you last time. I have baccalaureate as May 23rd. Baccalaureate is Wednesday, May 24th.
Okay.
That's it.
Mr. Reeves?
No, ma'am, not unless you have questions of me.
Go down, Frankie.
Okay. Two, I'd like to, we appreciate all our retirees. That's a milestone for them, to have worked in our in district that long. I sure appreciate them doing that. And then, I had Mr. White out at the Bridge program, had a program today. It was really nice. Those kids made a lot of gains out there. It was really nice. Had a lunch and some desserts and things. And Then the high tech, at the high school had their banquet last week, and it was really, really, really good. I enjoyed that, seeing those kids excel in things, and that's all I got. See, y'all getting that.
I'm so thankful that Frankie got to speak before us tonight, and he got to acknowledge those things.
Yes, exactly.
So I also would like to say to Mr. White, thank you for the program today. It was wonderful. It was great to be able to see those kids and their accomplishments. And to the high school high-tech program, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And thank you to all of our retirees.
And I, for the first time, get to say ditto. And congratulations to our retirees. We do appreciate your years of service. We couldn't do it without all of our dedicated teachers and staff that we have in the district, and we just want you all to know how much you're appreciated.
Thank you all.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion, or I move to adjourn our meeting.
All right, meeting is adjourned.
Who's